verge of Big 12 play. Are they right where they need to be, or is there much left to be done this week? From the Dodge Sports Desk, I'm Jenny Carlson, and this is OSU Basketball with Andrea Cohen. Okay, Andrea, Tuesday, the last non-conference game for OSU before they start conference play. What do the Cowboys need to get out of this game against Savannah State?
What they really need is just kind of keep their confidence up, get one more good, solid win. Really, more than anything, they need the win. When you start looking toward the Big 12 and kind of what OSU is going to be able to get done this year, it's important for them to get every non-conference win they can possibly get if they want to make the postseason. So the biggest thing is really just get one more win.
Well, and you mentioned that win total, 10-3 right now, probably going to be 11-3 going into Big 12 play. Is that where they need to be heading into Big 12 play if they want to make a postseason tournament?
You know, it's not a bad position to be in. It makes it so that they can, have a solid year, win a couple games that, on the road, and make the tournament, really. I'm not saying it's necessarily likely or unlikely, but they're in position where they can get that done. 10-3 right now is a very decent spot to be at. Travis Ford said the other day, could be a lot worse. And he didn't mean it quite like that, but it's true. I mean, they're in decent position.
Defensively, it looks like the Cowboys have taken a step forward, had a huge defensive game against Rhode Island in the All-College, have since played some pretty good defense against some not-so-good non-conference opponents. But how has this happened? How have the Cowboys stepped it up defensively like this?
It's so different from what they're used to. I mean, they'd been playing, really strict man-to-man defense for a long time. Sean Sutton put in a couple of zones, but for the most part, they always kind of went back to a really serious man-to-man defense. And so now they're getting used to these kind of they're playing a bunch of, a zone, and then they sit back in man-to-man, and these different presses and traps, and they're starting to get used to them. And the other night, Travis Ford said it was the first time he's like, we really switched some defenses tonight. And that's, that's good for them because it's how they're going to be the most effective. But so you're kind of starting to see it. And he says, it's a pack of wolves mentality. And like once you get a steal, it turns into more steals and making the pace a little bit more furious. So that's what they're starting to do a little bit. You're starting to see it.
Do you think defense is always a lot about just mentality? I mean, sure, there's sets in their schemes, but mentality is a lot of it. Have the Cowboys stepped this up because coaches have said something, the players have said something, they saw the fruits of it? Sort of why has this happened now this way?
I think it's a combination of those things. I think more than anything, it's, when you start seeing a little bit of success with it, you get a lot more excited about it and you play a little bit harder and it kind of ups the tempo. But Travis Ford gets these guys playing hard. I mean, he's an in-your-face kind of guy. I mean, we've written a lot about, his style coaching, but he has them playing at a fast pace and playing really hard. So it's been fun to watch.
Let's turn our attention to women's basketball for just a second, because this is OSU basketball. Cowgirls have won 7 straight, probably 8. They've got one more non-conference game before they start conference play, and yet there's been some struggles in that winning streak. What's going on with the Cowgirls right now?
The way Taylor Hardiman, their senior guard, put it to me is that we forgot what made us good. She was talking about herself specifically, but kind of the whole team. She was saying, what made me good was that I played really hard defense. And that this team always kind of had an underdog mentality, and that they saw themselves as, creating upsets, and that was kind of their style. And so all of a sudden, when they were the hunted and not the hunter, they started sitting back a little bit. Kurt Budke's been happy with them the last couple games, said, it's picking it up. And it's hard to do when you're playing teams that Texas Pan American, where you're winning by 49 points. It's hard, but, start to finish, their intensity was pretty decent, and he seemed pretty happy with it. But, once they start Big 12 play, it's going to be go, go, go. And, I think those, Shantae Smith was saying, once you start the Big 12, the intensity picks itself up. I don't think that's going to be up to us, but they've had a couple of, little hiccups early, but they've been playing pretty well in the last couple games.
So it sounds like, at least as they head towards Big 12 play, which, by the way, looks like a minefield again this year, that they're maybe playing some better ball. Not a huge concern right now as they head forward. Obviously, it's going to be tough, but do you feel like that they are sort of in a good spot to start Big 12 play?
Yeah, they seem like they're in pretty good shape. I mean, their record, like we were talking about with the guys, their record is just fine. Mm-hmm. What's going to be interesting to see what happens with Andrea Riley. She scored season low 12 the other night, had some assists, played pretty decently, didn't turn the ball over a bunch. But she's going to have to get back to being the big scorer again. So that's kind of the biggest thing for them. It'll be interesting to watch and see kind of who scores the points for them.
All right. Well, Andrea will continue providing in-depth coverage of OSU basketball as Big 12 play begins, and all the way until its finale at the Big 12 basketball tournaments in Oklahoma City. To follow all the news and analysis, stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.